Hi, my name is Chris Johnson, Director of the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center here in Niagara Falls, New York, located at 7820 Porter Road, Niagara Falls, New York. Our office number is 716-940-8963. Our website is www.niagarafallshypnosiscenter.com. I'm a board-certified hypnotist and certified instructor of hypnosis through the National Guild of Hypnotists. One of the reasons why I'm doing this video today is just to help educate our clients and give the general population, people out there, some fundamentals about hypnosis and how the mind works, and kind of take away a lot of the misconceptions and the Hollywood myths and that sort of thing. So it's like an informal discussion, and I'm going to talk mostly in this particular video about the four main components of the human mind. The first component of the human mind is the unconscious mind. And we have four components of the mind. We've got the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and the critical factor. And these are basically parts of your mind that are always working together to help protect you, educate you, nurture you, and so forth. So first I want to touch upon the unconscious mind. It's basically your physical body's consciousness. And that means it regulates things such as your heart rate, your pulse, your breathing. You don't have to think about these things. They just happen automatically. The unconscious mind can change and learn, but it's very limited about what it can do. So, for instance, the Dr. Ivan Pavlov did experimentation in operant conditioning. You may have heard that name before. He's the one who did Pavlov's dogs. He basically had cages of all these dogs lined up, and day after day he would ring a bell, he would bring out the food, and the dogs would salivate. And over a period of time, this conditioned response led to him being able to take away the food and just the bell ringing, and the dog would salivate. And on a personal note, in my house we have two small dogs, Frodo and Sophie, and they're both about this big, itty-bitty little things. And to me, they all sound the same. All the cupboards in our house sound the same. But I know if I open up the upper cupboards where the Tupperware is, or the cupboard over here where the spice rack is, nothing. But if I open up that lower cupboard where all the dog treats are, they come running. So they've been conditioned to know that when that door comes open, usually something good's going to come out of there. So it's very interesting about conditioning and how that works. The unconscious mind basically learns through conditioning, hypnosis, or self-hypnosis. For instance, migraines can be drastically reduced or even eliminated through the use of hypnosis. The unconscious mind also generates physical feelings in relation to our emotions. That's why we call them feelings. For instance, if you feel scared and your muscles tense and everything, it's a physiological response to that feeling. That's why we call our emotions feelings more often than not. The unconscious mind is also the deepest level of the mind. It also has a protective function, reflexes. In other words, if the ball is coming at your head, a baseball or something, you reflexively, if I can say that word properly, you duck. You don't have to think about it. If you had to think about it, it would take too long and you get bashed in the face with a ball. It's a protective function to help keep you safe. The other protective function of the unconscious mind is the ability to fight off disease. So that's a little bit of information about the unconscious mind. Now let's talk about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, to me, is very fascinating. The subconscious mind is basically the hard drive of your experiences, life experiences, emotions, habits, feelings, things you've been doing for a long period of time, belief systems. Those kind of things are all stored in the subconscious part of your mind. Basically what happens is your experiences help shape you as a person, and the subconscious mind retains those experiences so you have a consistent personality. That personality can change and shift over the years, but basically you have the real you in place because of the subconscious mind. Now, it's bad in the sense that the subconscious mind, once it learns certain things because of other protective functions of the mind, which I'll get to in a second, makes it hard to change old habits. You've been doing them for a long period of time. You know what you have to do in order to make your life changes, and you just can't seem to do them. And that's what we work with here at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center. We help people make the changes they want to make them permanent ones, whether it's stop smoking, reducing your weight, or whatever the case may be, reducing anxiety, that kind of thing. Now, habits, for instance, are a function of the subconscious mind. You do something for a long period of time, it becomes an automatic behavior. For instance, right now, if you're watching the video in a place where it's safe for you to use your hands, like sitting in your living room or whatnot, do me a favor and cross your hands like this. And just do it naturally, and notice which one of your thumbs is on top. In my case, my right thumb is on top. Take note of which one was on top, then separate your hands and put the other thumb on top. So in other words, if you had the right thumb on top before, put the left one. If you had the left one on before, put the right one on top this time. So whatever thumb that you normally have on top, put the opposite one on top now. And you'll notice that it probably feels kind of weird, like, oh, it just isn't right. That's because at some point in the past, you put your hands together, your thumbs came together, and one thumb went over the other. And it became a habit, and just over a series of repetitions it became habit. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no reason why the left thumb should be over the top or the right thumb should be over the top. It's just whatever happened. When you were a kid, it happened, and it became a habit. And now the opposite thumb being on top just feels weird to you. Just like in North America, we're conditioned to shake hands with our right hand. And if we went to shake hands with our left hand, it would feel really weird. We could overcome this with a lot of training and repetition, but initially it's going to feel really weird to shake somebody's hand with their left hand. Here's another example of your subconscious mind at work. Most people watching this video in North America have English as either the primary language or at least a secondary language that they have learned. We know we can say the alphabet very, very easily. And I'll do it now. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now, that just comes out very easily, and you could do it too. In fact, when I have people come in for the consultations and meetings here at the center, we actually have them say the alphabet out loud. And it seems weird, but it just comes out so normally and naturally because at some point in the past, when you were a little kid, for most people watching this video, you learn to say the alphabet through a series of repetitions, and now it just comes out automatically. So here's something interesting. Say the alphabet, this time say every other letter. A, C, E, and the reason why it's harder to say the alphabet every other letter is because we were not trained to do that. We did not have to do it for a series of repetitions in school or for any other function. So we have to think about it. We actually have to engage different parts of our mind in order to work that little process out. Now the subconscious mind generates emotions based on past experiences. For instance, if you have a feeling of being unjust, if something is happening and you feel that you're being wronged in some way, you may feel a feeling of anger. Now, the subconscious mind is also appears to be unlimited in capacity. Of a normal functioning person's brain and mind, you can always learn. Even senior citizens can tell you about their life experiences when they were like little kids, for example. You can never stop learning. You always have the capacity to learn new skills. Even now in my office, I work with people. I work with all ages. I work with kids. I work with young adults. I work with adults. I work with seniors. And I'm constantly hearing from even seniors about how they're learning how their new app on their phone works, or updating their software system on their computer, or whatever the case may be. So we can always learn. A normal function of the mind is subconscious mind is we can always learn. You know, the data is always accessible. Again, I referenced earlier talking to senior citizens, and they can recall things back when they were just 5, 6 years old, for example. Now, the subconscious mind also protects you against your known dangers. Fear, for example, motivates you to stay safe. And because we have so much variety and diversity in our lives, and the subconscious mind is so diverse, and everybody has different life experiences, here at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center, we do not believe in a one-size-fits-all protocol to working with people. We've got a strong framework in place for our sessions, but within that framework, we have customizable sessions and techniques for you. Some of the hypnosis centers out there, they do what's called pre-recorded sessions as their main modality. In other words, you come in, they put headphones on you, they flip on a recording, and they walk away. And that's not what we do here. Everything we do here is customized for you. You're always working with a live human being. Now, I want to talk briefly, too, about the conscious mind, the third function of the mind. The conscious mind is basically a point of narrow focus on the now. For instance, right now, you're focusing, hopefully, on this video. But the conscious mind can also focus on, like, an instant from the past, going back in time and thinking about past memories. It can also think about things that may happen in the future. So the conscious mind can focus on a few different things. And there was an old belief that the conscious mind could focus on 7 things plus or minus 2. But as we get further along in our 21st century, we're finding that the conscious mind can really only focus on a couple of different things. And I can verify this because I know when I'm hypnotizing people, one of the techniques I use to induce hypnotic trance, I ask people to think about 3 different things at one time, and the conscious mind becomes overloaded, and the subconscious mind just takes over. It's a very normal, natural process people go through every day. the subconscious mind is also a part of your mind that has analytical capabilities. Like when I did that little exercise earlier about focusing on the alphabet, every other letter, that was a function of the conscious mind. I was thinking about analyzing things and working out problems. For example, if I was to ask you, the viewer, to multiply 523 times 57.85, you use your conscious mind in order to accomplish that function. Another part of the conscious mind is what's called willpower. Now, willpower is just intended for like short bursts. The example I always give to my clients in the office is willpower is just long enough for you to hit the gas and get past McDonald's, for example. So when people say that their willpower is not strong enough, they're really using their mind incorrectly. And unfortunately, in education here in North America, we don't really focus on how the mind works as much as we should. So we're taught to tough it out and willpower, and willpower is not intended for long-term change. It's just not the way the mind is built to function. So when people say that willpower is not strong enough, they're using their minds incorrectly, even if they don't know it. Hypnosis bypasses the conscious mind to get to the subconscious mind. Here at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center, we have a variety of techniques to help bypass the conscious mind to get to the subconscious mind. And that basically means we get that logical, rational, analytical mind out of the way to begin the reprogramming process for the subconscious part of the mind. And the reason why we do this is because the conscious mind is always keeping you safe. It's always protecting you against known dangers and that sort of thing. And I say known dangers in air quotes because what is a known danger? It's different for every person watching this video. And it's not until we bypass the conscious mind, we get to the subconscious mind, that we can actually enact that change. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So now we'll talk briefly about the critical factor. The critical factor basically separates the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. It's basically a comparing mechanism. We have life experiences throughout our lives. We learn things that we see, we hear, we feel kinesthetically. We smell things, we taste things. And these experiences hit upon the conscious mind, which analyzes it, and the critical factor then looks at these experiences and compares it to our experiences that we learned when we were very young, or even yesterday, or last year, whatever the case may be. And it decides, are we going to allow these experiences to stick in the subconscious mind, or are they going to be rejected? For example, if I was to ask you, the viewer, to get on top of the building, your building at your home, our building here at the center, and jump off, you'll float like Superman. Most people are going to look at me and they're going to laugh, they're going to think this guy's being ridiculous. That's exactly the answer that I want. I've never once had a person say, okay, I'll jump off the roof, because if they do that, we can't work with them. Hypnosis does not work for crazy people. So basically what this means is the critical factor is there to keep you safe. Our life experiences are formed in the subconscious mind at a very young age, typically. For instance, little kids, they walk up and they put their finger in a light socket, they get zapped. They learn really quickly not to do that ever again. They put their hand on a hot flame, on the stove, for example. They learn really quickly to keep their hand away from flames. Some of the things they learn through experience. Other things they learn through teachings of their parents. They learn about gravity. They learn about science. And most people watching this, I'm guessing, have never been from space. And even if I told you that every picture and every video you've ever seen of the Earth has been faked, there's nothing I could do probably to convince you that the Earth is actually anything other than a sphere. And as an interesting side note, there is a society of people here in North America called the Flat Earthers. They still believe the Earth is flat. So belief systems, even if they don't have any logical basis in fact, will influence whether or not something counterintuitive to that is accepted by the subconscious mind because of the critical factor. Listen to people talk about religion or politics, and people who have opposing views, they get very emotional. Why? Because their beliefs and things that they know to be held true, things that matter to them, things that feel safe to them, are in the same part of the mind as the emotions. So when you have a debate between people about politics and religion and that sort of thing, it very quickly escalates and becomes very, very heated. And that's all because of the critical factor. The critical factor is there, and it's basically analyzing, saying, oh, this person is having views that are counterintuitive to my views, and it's being rejected by the critical factor, which is why it's very hard to have rational, reasonable debates with people about those kind of things. Another example about the critical factor is things like pink elephants. If I was to say to you, I want you to go outside, I want you to count how many pink elephants you see, you could instantly say that's absolutely ridiculous. Because again, your life experiences have taught you there's no such thing as pink elephants, other than like movies and special effects and that sort of thing. And where this comes into play with how the mind works in hypnosis and everything is, for example, let's say somebody is coming into my office for weight management, and then their thing is ice cream. The ice cream that tastes good, and maybe they learned in the past to eat ice cream whenever they felt stressed. Like maybe there's one point in the past where they felt really stressed out. They're like, oh, I'll have some ice cream. And then the sugar rush, and then the act of eating the ice cream and focusing on the taste, because again, we can only focus on a couple of things at one time, help distract them away from being stressed out for a little while. And then the mind learned very quickly. The critical factor says, oh, we'll allow this to go into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind knows it's learned to get away from stress. And the ice cream helped detract the mind from that stress for a short while. So that is accepted as a suggestion that goes through the critical factor. It's accepted by the subconscious mind, and the person learns, quote unquote, to eat ice cream because of stress. Smoking, the same thing. Those are a lot of things we work with here at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center. Now, I want to briefly define some terms for you. Hypnosis, as defined by the U.S. government, is bypass of the critical factor and the acceptance of acceptable thinking. And basically what this means is new information bypasses the comparing mechanism of the mind, again, the critical factor, and sinks into the subconscious mind using hypnotic techniques. And I want to stress one thing here, too, is that many hypnotists use relaxation techniques, but relaxation in and of itself does not have anything to do with hypnosis. For instance, if you're driving your car and you're zoning out, your muscles are still engaged, you're still driving your car, you're still sitting up straight and everything, and you're not totally relaxed with your eyes closed, but you're in a state of hypnosis. We go into hypnosis all the time, every day. If you are watching TV and you're really focused on TV and you're enjoying what you're watching, you're engaged, and your emotions are engaged too, like you're saying to the person, don't go down in the basement, that's where the monster is, that's a state of hypnosis. People who are athletes in sports, and they're highly focused, and they're at the bat, they're focused on the pitcher and everything like that. They talk about tuning out the crowd and getting into the zone and everything like that. That's hypnosis. If you've ever read a novel, had an emotional reaction to a character being harmed or killed in a novel, a fictional novel, that's hypnosis. It's just words on a page, yet it causes an emotional reaction in you. That's hypnosis. And I mention all of this to, number one, take away a lot of the mysticism about hypnosis, and also mention again, you can have hypnosis without relaxation. A lot of old school hypnotists, they will use what's called a progressive relaxation induction. In other words, they say, relax your feet, relax your ankles, relax your calves, relax your hips, relax your chest, relax your arms, relax, 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 relax. And they start going into the hypnotic techniques and the suggestions. Well, we at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center, we use very advanced techniques, so that not only do we know, but you'll also know that you are experiencing a wonderful level of hypnosis. We can actually gauge exactly where the mind is at any particular point in time in the session. And we do some neat little things to point out to you afterwards. You yourself know you're actually hypnotized. And it's nothing like barking like dogs or clucking like chickens or anything like that. None of those things are going to happen. But it's just fascinating things that you'll find interesting, and you yourself will know you're actually hypnotized. We like to do that because many times we've had people come in who've seen other hypnotists. Maybe they've done like a group session or something like that, and they say, well, I don't know if I was actually hypnotized. So we do a lot of those convincers, we call them, so you yourself know you're actually hypnotized. Another thing I want to talk about in terms is sleep. Whenever we talk about sleep here at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center, we're not actually talking about losing consciousness and going into an unconscious state. Hypnosis is not sleep. You hear everything that's going on during the hypnotic suggestion, so that you can respond and interact with what's going on during the session. If we talk about the word sleep in the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center with whomever you're working with, we don't mean sleep losing consciousness, we mean sleep as in closing your eyes and allowing your body to be as relaxed as possible. That's all we're talking about when we talk about sleep. Don't allow yourself to go to sleep during your session, otherwise you focus attention. When I referenced being focused on the TV earlier, there may have been times you've been so focused on television that somebody comes up to you and they say, Chris, open, dinner's ready or something like that, and the person is so focused on TV, they literally don't hear that person. However, even though you're focused on the moment of whatever it is you're focused on, movies, book, sports, driving, whatever the case may be, you're still in control. If something were to happen, like in driving, for example, you see a red light, you're thinking about something, and you're just focused on your driving, and you're just kind of driving along, maybe you almost miss your exit or something like that. But if you see a red light, you're going to focus, you're going to come back, and you're going to be able to properly brake for that light. Hear an ambulance or a police car, hear the silence, they're going to bring you back, and you're going to be able to deal with whatever it is that's going on around you. In a hypnosis session, similar thing. If something were to happen, if there's like a fire or an emergency during the session, the protective function of your mind would allow you to instantly emerge from that hypnotic state, be aware and able to deal with whatever it is you need to deal with at any particular time. And you cannot get stuck in hypnosis either. The idea of being stuck in hypnosis, it came from a hypnotic state called the Esdale state, and it was discovered by James Esdale, a surgeon. And he found that you can do really neat things with hypnosis, like analgesia, which is feeling touch but not feeling pain, or anesthesia, feeling no touch whatsoever. And he found that particular hypnotic state very useful for helping people with pain management, even surgical procedures and things like that. However, the myth of getting stuck in hypnosis started back in vaudevillian times, when vaudevillians would do formal stage hypnosis shows. And some people, the hypnotic state feels very good, even though it's not relaxation. What's going on in the body and how a lot of people use hypnosis, it feels so good to them that they go into this deeper level of hypnosis that we've nicknamed the Esdale state after James Esdale. And it feels really good, and they can hear everything that's going on around them, but it just feels so good. They feel so peaceful and so serene and so wonderful that they don't want to be bothered. They just want to be left alone. And these old vaudevillian stage performers did not know that. So when people would get stuck in hypnosis, they would pack up and get in their buggies and head out of town, and the person would be there, and then they'd eventually emerge on their own, or whatever the case may be. Well, here at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center, we have had specified training to understand that, look for it and everything, and specific techniques on how to get people out of that particular state if somebody does go into that state either with us or without us, because it just feels good. And I'll share with you a very quick story. In addition to clinical hypnosis, I actually do stage shows, very clean, ethical stage shows where no one is embarrassed whatsoever. Nothing dirty or anything like that, no barking like dogs, to use that old cliche. And I was doing a stage show one time for a grad party, and I do a lot of grad parties, high school grad parties, colleges, corporate groups, post-proms, that sort of thing. That's mostly what I use a lot of my stage shows for. And I was at a grad party, and I had 10 or 12 kids who were hypnotized, and we're doing all kinds of fun things. They're on the beach, they're driving an imaginary car of their dreams, or that kind of thing. And I noticed one young man wasn't responding. And I walked up to him, and off mic I said, respond, and he didn't respond. I'm like, okay, he probably slipped into Esdale. So I used a very quick little technique. He emerged instantly, and he went back and he sat down. And after the show was over, I went up and I talked to him, and we talked about it. He goes, yeah, I could hear everything you were saying. I just didn't want to be bothered. Okay, Esdale state. Not a big deal. I handled it instantly in about 3 seconds. So you cannot get stuck in hypnosis. But that was just an interesting factoid about how that old myth got started. Additionally, hypnosis does not control you. I've mentioned that a couple of times up until now. Hypnosis does not control you. If we were to say anything to you in session that you would disagree with on a moral standpoint, you would instantly emerge, look at us, and probably walk out of the room. So hypnosis does not control you. Even in the stage settings, many times people will ask me, well, Chris, what about those stage shows? I do all those crazy things. When somebody is volunteering for a stage show, because it is compliance, somebody's volunteering for a stage show, they're walking up on stage knowing they're going to be asked to do these strange and unusual things. So it's the kind of person who volunteers for this that they want to cut loose, they want to have some fun. They're normally the life of the party, the kind of person who puts a lampshade on their head at a party, for example. Or if they haven't, we have had some people say, I can't believe my son did that, he's not like that. Well, that person has a secret desire to cut loose and have some fun and just loosen the inhibitions, that kind of thing. A couple of quick stories that illustrates this perfectly, about how even in the stage show, you're not controlled. I was doing a stage show 7 or 8 years ago as of this recording. It's 2015 as I'm recording this, not that matters. And I was doing a stage show at a high school, and I had 10 or 12 people or so up on stage, sitting in a row of chairs like you would expect, like at a comedy club or Vegas or whatever. And up until that point in the show, everybody's doing wonderful things. They're on the beach, and everybody's fanning themselves on the beach because they were warm. They're driving imaginary cars, their hands are in the air, turning the imaginary steering wheel and everything. And it was wonderful, and everybody's having a great time. And I got to this one point in my show where I started doing more individual skits. Because up until this point, everybody's doing the same stuff. They're all hot, they're all driving the car, whatever. So I get to one point in the show, and I said to one lady, because I had teenagers and adults up on stage with me. And I said to one lady, and she was in her 40s, I would guess, and I said, ma'am, is your husband here today? And she says, yes, because when you're hypnotized, you can hear everything that's going on around you, and you can respond too. So, okay, when I count to 3, you're going to sing to your husband in the audience like you're Marilyn Monroe, and he's John F. Kennedy. Happy birthday, that kind of thing. And she burst out laughing and said, I may be hypnotized, I'm not going to sing. I thought it was great, and the whole audience kind of went, whoa, like something went wrong. And I got on my mic and I said, ladies and gentlemen, this proves to you hypnosis does not control you. That was wonderful. And after that, the lady did everything I asked her to do. She was a dancer, she was a bodybuilder, all kinds of fun stuff. And we talked about it afterwards, and she felt compelled to do all these things, and it was just a nice, wonderful experience for her, and she loved it, but she just didn't want to sing. No problem. Second story. This one was more recent, a couple of years ago. I was doing a corporate event, corporate holiday party. And at this corporate holiday party, we had, again, 10 or 12 people hypnotized in a row. And I get to one point in my show where I started doing what I call the three-ring circus. And that basically just means instead of everybody doing the same thing, like everybody driving an imaginary car, for example, we have people do different things. And I walked up to one person, I touched him on the shoulder, I said, the person I'm touching and only the person I'm touching, when I count to 3, you can open up your eyes, you're going to believe you're invisible. And you're going to gather up every napkin and every banquet table, you're going to believe it's a $100 bill. Then I go to the next person. The person I'm touching, and only the person I'm touching, you're going to push your name out of your mind. You're not going to be able to remember your name no matter what you do. Third person, the person I'm touching, and only the person I'm touching, when I count to 3, you're going to open up your eyes. You're going to see the entire audience changing into cats. You're going to go and go pet some cats. And it was wonderful. And we had like 3 or 4 other people doing other things. So I count to the 3, they all open up their eyes, and they all run off, and they all start doing everything. The one guy who believed he was invisible was gathering up all the napkins and really believing he was invisible. It was really cool. The second guy, I walked up to him and asked him his name, and he goes, my name's Phil. And he rejected that suggestion of forgetting his name. I thought that was very interesting. I turned my back, next thing you know, he's over gathering napkins, believing they're $100 bills, even though that suggestion was not to him. So it's very specific. The person I'm touching, only the person I'm touching, he still heard that suggestion, liked it better, and accepted that, and all of a sudden believed that these napkins were $100 bills. It appealed to him more. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. I get to the lady who's petting cats, and she's petting cats, scratching them, people, grown people behind their ears and everything. Oh, Fluffy, you're so pretty, that kind of thing. Everybody's having a blast. And I happen to look down, and in one of her hands she has some napkins. I said, well, what are those? And she goes, I found some money. So even though she accepted the suggestion for the cats, she heard the thing about the money, thought that was great too, and accepted that suggestion on a subconscious level. So hypnosis does not control you, even in a stage show environment. And that stage show, those stories I told you illustrated some of the neat levels of hypnosis. I've alluded to James Esdale and analgesia and anesthesia. Some of the deeper levels of hypnosis can be used to block chronic pain, help people with pain management, and also minor surgical techniques and that sort of thing. There's also deep levels of hypnosis where people experience positive or negative hallucinations, like I mentioned a moment ago during the show. A positive hallucination is if you see something that's not there, like the lady believing that everybody's changing into cats. And a negative hallucination is not seeing something that is there. Like when I was going through my training, we're able to take a pen, put it right in front of somebody in a hypnotic state, and tell them they were not going to see that pen. And they would look around, they'd look for a pen, and they just would not see it. Their mind would just temporarily erase it from their visual, from their conscious mind. It's really neat stuff. So I mentioned that to you because all these parts of the mind and how hypnosis works and levels or anything and everything are fascinating. We can work with them and help people achieve beneficial change in a lot of different ways. But I want to stress that hypnosis is safe. Hypnosis is completely safe. You hear everything that's going on around you the entire time. Once again, if anything was to happen of an emergency or anything like that, you instantly emerge. If we were to do anything against your moral code, you would instantly emerge. That kind of thing. You would reject everything that did not appeal to you. That sort of thing. Once again, the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center, one of the things we do is we do use a lot of convincers. Again, so you yourself know you're hypnotized. Because one of the things we have to work with the most when somebody comes in for the first time is, was I really hypnotized? So we have a lot of those convincers in, like I mentioned earlier. And it's interesting because people are often, getting back to the whole, am I really hypnotized thing, people are often very surprised to know that they can hear everything while they're being hypnotized. And it just makes sense because they couldn't hear everything. They could not hear all the wonderful suggestions that are helping them achieve the life change that they so desire and deserve. Again, the only time that happens is somebody actually falls asleep. If somebody were to fall asleep during the session. We take safeguards and everything to make sure that people do not fall asleep during sessions. Because once again, sleep is not hypnosis. And what we do is we otherwise occupy the conscious mind and get that critical factor out of the way, have it otherwise occupied so we can get those new suggestions in there. The example I like to give is that people are very often running Windows 95 software in their mind. We like to update them to Windows 8.1 or whatever it is right now. We'll bypass Vista, that kind of thing. So hypnosis is so safe. The American Medical Association has accepted hypnosis since 1958. and it's used by medical professionals all over the world for pain management, medical procedures, behavior change, all kinds of neat things. And I want to stress this too. Even though I've alluded to it a few times, hypnosis is a consensual state. There's no forcing anybody to be hypnotized. If somebody says, "You're not going to hypnotize me," it's not going to work. In fact, I remember hearing a story from a colleague that he had a client come in. It was actually the client's mother as a small child, and the kid was, 7 or 8, and the kid just had a meltdown and was just, screaming and a temper tantrum or whatever. And the mother said, "I'll hold him down and you can do the hypnosis on him." And it just doesn't work that way. In fact, a lot of people wonder, how old do you have to be hypnotized? What's the criteria to be hypnotized? It's very, very simple. The criteria to be hypnotized, you have to be over the age of 4, because anything under the age of 5, a child is just, they're too young, they can't focus. They don't have the critical faculties necessary to actually focus on what I'm saying and everything. And they're pretty much in a subconscious state of mind all the time anyway. That's why you can walk up to a 3-year-old child and say, "Johnny, I saw a dinosaur today." Really? They'll totally buy into it. Also, the person has to be of normal or average intelligence. In other words, if somebody is Down syndrome, for example, they cannot be hypnotized. And also, they have to have a normal functioning brain. Like, in other words, if somebody is, severe schizophrenic or like a non-functioning, the chemicals in their brain are unbalanced or something like that, they cannot be hypnotized. And they have to have a willingness to be hypnotized. And that's it. That's the only criteria to be hypnotized. Normal or average intelligence, normal or average brain, over the age of 4, and a willingness to be hypnotized. There used to be a belief that only a small percentage of the population can be hypnotized, and we found that not to be true. What happened was, just a brief historical note, there's a certain percentage of the population which we hypnotists have called somnambulists. It's just people that, for whatever reason, they just go in hypnotic trance very, very easily. And because of the old methods of hypnotizing people, they only believe that they're very ineffective. They only believe that only those people can be hypnotized. Well, we found that using advanced techniques and modern induction techniques and everything, that anybody who's willing with those criteria can experience a wonderful, easy level of trance. And we take a lot of those old myths and things from the movies and everything, and really wanted to debunk them using this video. So we look forward to seeing you soon at your session here at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center. And once again, our telephone number is 716-940-8963. Our website is www.niagarafallshypnosiscenter.com. My name is Chris Johnson. I'm the director of the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center. We're located at 7820 Porter Road, Niagara Falls, New York. This video is typically intended for people who are coming into the center to view the video, to understand what hypnosis is like when they come in. So it's basically a time saver. We used to actually sit down with people and actually explain everything I explained to you. So our sessions were much longer. What we found with people, their schedules and things, it was just so busy, people couldn't do that anymore. So by having this video online available for our clients, they're able to watch the video, learn about hypnosis, and when they come in, we can maximize their time and get right to the work that they need to do. And as much of a time saver as we can possibly make with our crazy, hectic 21st century lifestyles that we enjoy. But that being said, if some of you have stumbled across this video on YouTube and have not made an appointment yet, give us a call, once again, at 716-940-8963 to schedule your free in-person consultation to learn how hypnosis can benefit you. I'm Chris Johnson. I thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to seeing you soon at the Niagara Falls Hypnosis Center.